All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Dr. Marnie Ritchie. I'm an assistant professor of communication. I'm also affiliate faculty with gender, sexuality, race studies here at PLU, as well as innovation studies here at PLU and global studies. So lots of different hats. I'm so excited to get to talk to you about communication as a degree because, it's obviously our life passion here. That's what the faculty love sharing with students and motivating students to study. So I'm gonna share my screen and I can't wait to answer any questions you have about this particular degree and sort of what we're all doing here. So yeah, this is about communication and I'm really excited to get to share with you how the degrees work here. So we have two basically paths for the bachelor's degree, one concentration in film and media studies and one concentration in strategic communication. Though it's a small credit hour degree, it's only 40 hours. We do ask that you also have a minor outside our program though, and our minor is also very few credit hours. So 16 hours only. A lot of people pick up a minor with us, and four of those must be upper division classes. So I'm going to break down a little bit what the film and media studies degree requires and the strategic communication degree requires. At its core, we have four classes. Each is 4 credits. So intro to communication, intro to media studies, public speaking, and writing and communication careers. And then we ask you to choose the strategic communication path or the film and new media path. And you'll have to get 20 hours in what's called one of those clusters. So for instance, in strategic communication classes we offer that go towards that degree are argumentation, again, strategic communication and advertising and PR campaigns. Strategic communication is more like the marketing side of communication. It's how you use communication to better inform publics to be empowered to make decisions. So a lot of marketing students find that very, very helpful. Film and new media is a really exciting path we offer here. I'm teaching multimedia production now, but we teach media writing, gender and media, we teach visual culture. And it's a really exciting thing because PLU has really invested in media production. So we have spaces to make podcasts, we have groups that do videos, and we're really equipped to sort of have students be, I don't know, prepared for the future, like be able to analyze media and have literacy around media. And then the final part of the program is the capstone. And I'm going to show you an example of a capstone project in a bit. And if you feel intimidated by the prospect of choosing this, rest assured that we're always here to, communicate with you. So we really love when you have questions for us. One of the most exciting things I think about teaching here and for students who attend here that I've heard from them in the sort of closer mentorship relationships you have with students here is that our department offers the Center for Media Studies. The Center for Media Studies houses a number of different applied media learnings. So for instance, one organization that students can join is called Media Lab. And this is a professionalization program where students can earn credits to learn how to do advertising, marketing, broadcasting, copywriting, photography, online media. They can also learn how to do event planning, public relations, graphic design, research, journalism, and videography. And that's for real world local clients. So they work with a number of people within the community. And it's a highly professionalizing experience. And again, you can get credit for doing that. Students won a college Emmy for the documentary they made through Media Lab in 2021, which is incredibly exciting. This film was about the US-Mexico border and the militarization of sacred land on the border. So students got to travel to border states and film all through the university, and it was recognized with the College Emmy. The other forms of media that are offered through the Center for Media is the student newspaper, and it's a physical copy that you can pick up. It's pretty cool, but it's also published online, and it's been at PLU since 1924. So we're very proud of that. You can learn journalistic experience. We have professors who are professional journalists in their time, and we're very lucky to have their experience with us in this department. You can also become a part of Lute Air Student Radio. So if you're interested in radio production, you could host shows, and they also have a Spotify playlist that is pretty great that you can find on their website. There's also a late night show that students produce. This one was posted very recently through Mass Media on YouTube, and you can sort of check them out and see what our students are up to. But this gives them a lot of experience writing, writing shows and the like. There's also showrunners who have film production experience, so who make short films. So we just have a lot of different things that you can do. You know, you can pursue all sorts of applied contexts if you'd like, and students really find it incredibly rewarding. The other thing that we do on campus is we do a lot of civic engagement, a lot of things within the community around voting and trying to make this area that PLU is in not so much of a like civic desert, you know, and so we try to bring candidates here. Our department hosted a Senate debate, for instance, in 2018, and that's something that our colleagues and myself are constantly working on trying to advocate for. So if you want to be engaged, this is a great place to do it. I want to show you some things that students have done so you'll know like maybe what you would do in our classes. We really like making things and asking students to make things so that you can apply what you're learning. It's a highly practical degree, this one. We also like to have fun though. So how to be an effective but engaging communicator. This student project was from a media literacy class over January. And this student made an app mock-up that taught trust indicators about news literacy. So we're investing in news literacy now, which is going to be very important when it comes to the sort of advent of artificial intelligence too. This is something that my students have done. These are their examples used with permission. Right now I'm teaching Intro to Media Studies, and I absolutely love it because it's practical and fun. And students do a project called Culture Jamming, where they critique the corporate influence on everyday life. So this one is about Disney as a monopoly. This one is about the iPhone and how planned obsolescence is built into it. This one is about Shein and fast fashion. And this one is about a recent event with Robinhood. So it's important for us to have you make things and learn the skills to do that, but all for critical skills, right, as well as the betterment of our publics. One thing I wanted to mention, I said I would show you a capstone example. This one is an incredible example that a student made, and it was an app. They got to actually make an app that did mutual aid for domestic violence. And so comm students are highly engaged and again want to make communities better. And this one was such an incredible project from start to finish. So that's just a really good example of what a culminating project might look like with us. And I believe she's trying to pursue it outside of PLU as well. So we went over the structure of the degree, the credit hours. We went over, you know, the student media opportunities. We went over some student work. Now I want to tell you what you can do after graduation. And there's so many myriad things you can do. Students go into government, they work for tech, they work for nonprofits. I'll show you just some examples of recent graduates. So we do have a graphic designer who works at the Grand Cinema. They worked with our graphic design program as well, because we're in the Department of Communication, Design and Media Arts. We have a student who's currently in show production to sell their show, and they're selling them to HBO and Netflix, which is pretty exciting. They learned how to do pitches through us. We have a communications coordinator for the YMCA. public relations, community engagement for a medical nonprofit. There's support services lead for Amazon. We have account executives out there at PR firms, doing work with clients. There's interior visualization artists who do more like the graphics for Emerald Home Furnishings. We have business development for Evergreen Fire and Security, recruiting. People go on to all sorts of higher education. Like we have a student who wanted to do a master's in communication at UC Boulder. We have a student who wanted to do a PhD in communication at the University of Maryland and who's now studying Instagram amazingly. We have a student who did a Master of Arts of Education, Masters of Business Administration and Sports Communication, which is a really exciting up and coming field. And then we have an English teacher in South Korea who I wanted to shout out because we learn a lot about cultural differences surrounding communication with us. So I feel like I've covered everything I wanted to, but I don't know, there's so much to a program and so much commitment that our teachers have here and that our students have here that I'm just excited for your questions. So I hope that was helpful. Stop sharing. Oh, Q&A. Yes, great question. Yeah, the question is, could I hear more about choosing communication as a major or a minor? What would it be compatible with? That's such a great question. Our students do tend to find compatible majors in things like global studies, because communication is so highly valued in foreign affairs careers and diplomatic careers and things like the Peace Corps. So that's one thing that people normally pair it with. A lot of people pair communication with business as well. We have a ton of business students that cross over because they learn more of like the economic side of business, and we have more of like the marketing PR side of it. So we have a lot of compatibility with business. I'm trying to think of what else. We have a number of majors who are women and gender studies and critical race studies, which is very exciting because people want to be able to critically analyze media when it comes to representations of identity. So those three are probably the largest crossovers. But if deciding between a major or a minor, my best advice is to take a comm class and try to take a couple of them, and then you'll realize how close you are to a minor. And you're probably not that far off from the major. And so it would be about, do you want to go into those upper division courses and really, really hone the strategic skills and the media skills? But you'll learn a lot with a minor, but as a major, it's the number one skill we always say that people look for across institutions. I hope that answered your question. Let me know if it didn't. I'm happy to clarify. Okay. Someone said, could you elaborate more for the film and new media, and would it be connected with broadcast and production? Excellent question. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. So let me see how I want to answer this for film and new media, what I want to elaborate on. What I will say is yes, it's absolutely attached to broadcast and production. So I am teaching multimedia production this semester, which is how do you use multiple forms of media to convey a message. And students are learning how to do podcasts, photo essays, interactive documentaries. They're learning videography skills, they're learning reporting skills. And so there's a ton of output that students make with broadcast and production, but there is opportunities to actually be part of broadcast productions through the Center for Media. So you could work on late night and write shows where you could be part of a broadcast media team, or you could work with radio, right, and be part of that. And so the cool thing is that you learn the history of broadcast. There's also overlap with innovation studies, which sometimes teaches about games and things like that. So I hope that answered your question. How long does it take and the cost, please? So I can't speak to cost off the top of my head because it will vary so much. However, the degree itself, most students finish their degrees in 4 years. It's not uncommon for communication majors to have the space to double major and have another major if they'd like, because we're really only 40 hours. So we're really flexible. Um, and people space it out all sorts of different ways, because some people want to study away, right? Some people go to Oxford and then come back and finish up and things like that. So I hope that answered how long it takes. Yes, I love this question about YouTube. I love that. Like, yes, I want you in class already. Yeah. Like, yeah, YouTube is definitely a part of new media. We've been talking so much in classes about new media, right? And I think we're a major place where that's studied, not just at this university, but in the region. We've really modernized the degree, and yeah, YouTube is definitely a part of new media, and so you would be able to study that here. Okay, what would be required subjects for freshmen which are not exactly connected with communications? That's such a great question. So if I'm hoping, but I'm happy to talk with you about this as well, that you've been able to explore the core curriculum of the university. It is a liberal arts university, so we do have general education requirements and things that are not exactly connected with communication um, will be subjective. Like, I think you'll obviously see communication everywhere. Like, even science communication is a huge thing. Like, how do we convince people to make healthy choices, and how do we communicate very complicated subjects is something that we think about here. And yeah, health communication. So required subjects for a first year person would be, there's at this point a religion requirement, at this point a science requirement, a math requirement. It's possible the university will change that to be more like categories for what you should learn, but for now, those are the things that you wouldn't necessarily connect with comm. And okay, great question about studying away. Absolutely. We definitely count study away programs for communication credits. I mentioned Oxford, but there's a whole list of them that you would just have to talk with us about applying for and using, because absolutely. In the past, students have gone to Rome with communication professors and studied communication there. There's just all sorts of opportunities here. And what's really exciting about Study Away and the fact that communication is so important for international affairs is that we really are very closely connected with the Wong Center, which is where how Study Away is administered. Like, for instance, my colleague and I hosted a symposium about drones abroad, and we partnered with the Wong Center. So yeah, like, there's just like many opportunities, and I'm happy to get more specific if you'd like. Nice. That's such a good question as well about theater and acting. That's like such a great question, because as a discipline, communication did used to be connected to theater because of the history of, well, now I'm just nerding out, so maybe you don't want to hear about that, but the history of elocution, like where people would make like visible gestures, and speak on stage, and think of that as communication. But we're a bit different than theater, because we do focus so much not on the medium of the stage, but the medium of broadcast or of film production or of online mediation. So our media is just slightly different. We do have some students who overlap, who find that theater helps them communicate better and communication helps them be connected to theater better. But those don't count for film and media credits. They're a different department. Great question. I'm doing Running Start with the classes. Yes, absolutely. I was just sitting down with a student going over her Running Starts credits, and she has a ton, and I was so impressed. And so absolutely, that's something to talk with. Well, I'm not the person who decides that. If that's something to talk with the front office at PLU to make sure that your credits transfer, and talking through the registrar, so that you make sure that they transfer well. But students who transfer credits really hit the ground running here. I just absolutely love when students come in with Running Start credits. So yeah, they should. Thanks for that question. Does anyone else have any other questions? Mhm. Thank you so much for, yeah, asking that clarifying question about general education. I can point you toward, or if you want to Google PLU general education requirements, you'll see the full list of what is asked for that curriculum. And it's because as a liberal arts student, this university would want to expose you to so many different disciplinary perspectives. So they don't want you to just be siloed on campus. They want you to really have an experience across campus. But the classes in Gen Ed are absolutely wonderful. Students tell me all the time how much they get out of them, even when they're not expecting to. Like for instance, students sometimes take environmental science classes through general education requirements and find that they have such a passion for communicating about um, climate change and ethical consumption and things like that. So it's like, I think of it as a very positive thing about this university, but I would just Google PLU general education requirements to look at that. And it's not just that you take them during your freshman year, you can do your general education requirements the whole time you're here. So you have time to do it. Are there any other questions? I've really enjoyed the ones that you've asked, y'all. They're on point, and I want to be as helpful as possible. I should say that you don't have to come in with any experience in media or PR or any sort of strategic communication. We really teach everyone at every single letters. Yes, the newspaper is like an extracurricular activity. So all of those organizations I listed through the Center for Media, they are extracurricular. However, you can get class credit for them. So that's something that you would sign up for every semester and take up to 2 credits a semester in each program. So the time that you spend on that activity, you could put towards your degree, which is sort of exciting, I think. And yeah, the Mast has a full editorial board. Like it's a professional enterprise, and we have like all sorts of different kinds of columnists and writers for it, and it's very easy to get involved with. So it's cool. Yeah, there's so many extracurricular activities available at PLU too. I'm not sure what all y'all have heard about, but students tend to find communities here, and that's pretty exciting. That's a really good question. I I frankly don't exactly know, so I don't want to lead you astray. I'm pretty positive no, because we have a number of commuter students who are first years who commute to the campus. So I'm pretty positive that you don't have to live in a dorm for the first year. There are, however, housing communities that are available on campus. Like there's a hall for like international like studies, or the international wing. There are all sorts of communities like Lavender Wing, right, for queer communities. And so the living situation is on campus could be tailored more to the kind of communities you'd like to be a part of, for instance. Thanks for that question. Yeah, and I should say that all the professors here at PLU are very open to questions and really open to having to really being of service to students. So I hope you feel like you can follow up with me if there's anything that comes to mind, or follow up, or even email anyone in the communication department. Okay. Well, I don't see any more questions. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Feel free to email me if you'd like. Again, my name is Marnie Ritchie, and you could just find me online. I'm always happy if there's anything, and anything at all I could answer for you. I know that this is such an exciting time, but also there's probably just a lot of information that gets thrown at you, and it could be hard to make a choice. So I'm just very sympathetic to that, and yeah, want to support you. So thank you so much for your time, and let me know if you have any other questions.